Chapter 6 Poem Amanda by Robin Klein. Amanda is a short poem about the mental state of a young school-going girl who is always checked and instructed by her elders, most probably by her mother, and is given a long list of do's and don'ts. Feeling annoyed, she brushes aside the instructions and finds escape in dreams of a life full of liberty, where she may live according to her own whims and fancies. Summary of the chapter. The poem gives us a peep into the psyche of a young girl who is not allowed to enjoy a life of her own choice. In this poem, Amanda feels that her liberty is curtailed by her mother, who keeps rebuking her for one thing or the other. For example, she is commanded not to bite her nails and to sit erect without slouching. Offended by her mother's instructions, Amanda, defiant as she is, finds an escape into the world full of imagination and considers herself to be a mermaid, swimming blissfully in a calm green sea, all by herself, with nobody around to disturb her. From the world full of dreams, she is pulled back when she is asked if she has done her homework, whether she has tidied her room, and why she has not cleaned her shoes. Feeling sick of so many questions, Amanda turns a deaf ear to them and again imagines herself to be an orphan with no one to check and nag her. She visualizes herself roaming around in the street, barefooted, where there are no nagging voices and pestering individuals to curtail her freedom. Being defiant, Amanda looks away while she is asked not to eat chocolates as they are not good for her acne. The mother immediately commands her to look her in the face when she is being talked to. This triggers more defiance from Amanda, and in her imagination, she prefers to be Rapunzel, a character from the German fairy tale who was imprisoned in a tower by a witch. Rapunzel had long golden hair, which she let out of the window to her prince so that he could climb up. The idea of being a captive doesn't bother Amanda. She rather feels that this solitary life would be so blissful that, unlike Rapunzel, she would never let down her bright hair through the window to enable some prince to liberate her. But her blissful dream is interrupted when her mother scolds her for being moody and commands her to stop sulking. The mother fears that people will wrongly get the impression that she has been nagging her daughter. In this way, the young Amanda keeps shifting from reality to imagination and back to reality again. The style of the poem. The poem has a conversational style where only one speaker, that is the mother, voices her views. The thoughts of the child, which are put in parenthesis, are not uttered. The child seems to be listening in silence, but in reality, her imagination, which is fast at work, transports her from her home to sea, to the roadside, and to an old castle, and thus she wishes to escape the perpetual nagging of her mother. In the 5 stanzas uttered by the mother, Amanda's name appears 12 times. Each of these stanzas gives jolts and jerks to the child. Hence, the stanzas spoken by the mother are written in free verse, but the poet has used rhyme scheme for the thoughts of the child, who imagines a blissful life full of liberty and joy. Theme of the chapter. The poem deals with child psychology as well as the lack of insight on the part of elders to understand children's thought process. The poem seems to suggest that the more children are suppressed, the more defiant they become. Such children start finding reality to be harsh and find escape in daydreaming or imagination. So much so that they start wishing for a life without parents around them to curtail their liberty. The poem indirectly advises the parents to have healthy and friendly relations with their children, which may be more effective in grooming them properly. However, the poem also indirectly emphasizes the need for children to listen to the advice of their elders and not to escape reality. Children can learn to do so if they are treated with affection and given some liberty, for suppression results in defiance. The title of the chapter. The poem centers around Amanda. Therefore, the poet has rightly titled this poem after the chief character. The title is followed by a mark of exclamation which indicates that Amanda is being addressed and commanded. The punctuation mark reveals the authoritative, dominating, unsympathetic tone adopted by the mother in addressing her daughter. The message of the chapter. The poem conveys the message that children need to be allowed more liberty. Excessive nagging makes them defiant, and they turn a deaf ear to the instructions of the elders. They develop a kind of dislike for real life and start escaping into the world of dreams and imagination. In fact, the poem indirectly emphasizes the need of a healthy bond between parents and children. Parents should understand the psychology of children, who in turn should be respectful and responsible to their parents.